Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to dig into the secret data that drives your shopping trips. Ever get that feeling that a store knows exactly what you want, even before you do? Well, we're about to crack the code on how they pull off that little bit of retail magic. All right, to kick things off, I've got a story for you. And honestly, it sounds completely made up, but it's actually become a legend in data science circles. And this is a real question, I'm not kidding. On one hand, you have a sugary breakfast treat. On the other, a massive destructive storm. What on earth could connect these two things? Well, it turns out this wasn't just some random fluke. Some data analysts at Walmart were digging through mountains of sales data, and bam! They found this pattern. Just think about that for a second. If you're Walmart and you know this, what do? You load up your stores with extra Pop-Tarts right before a hurricane is announced. The shelves stay stocked, customers get what they want, and sales go up. That is the power of finding these hidden connections. So yeah, this whole weird thing with pastries and storm prep, it's the perfect way to understand a really powerful data technique. To find these kinds of golden nuggets, companies are basically looking inside your shopping cart, metaphorically of course, to see what kinds of things you buy at the same time. Okay, so to really get our heads around this whole Pop-Tart thing, we need to break down two really important ideas. These are the engines that power these kinds of discoveries. So, market basket analysis. That's the big idea, right? The main goal. It's all about finding these relationships between products that people toss into their carts in one go. You can almost think of it like being a detective, but for shopping. And this is the tool they use to do that detective work. Association rule mining is the nitty-gritty method for finding those connections. It spits out these super simple if-then rules. Like if someone buys bread, then there's a good chance they're also going to buy butter. All right, let's make this real with a super simple example. Look at this table, just 5 shopping trips. Right away, you can see bread pops up in a bunch of them, right? And when bread is there, butter seems to tag along pretty often. Now, even with just these 5 little transactions, our brains can start seeing a pattern. But imagine a store with millions of these every single day. Yeah, no way a human can do that. That's when you need an algorithm to do the heavy lifting. Okay, but here's the thing. Not every pattern is a winner. Just because 2 people bought, pickles and ice cream together once doesn't mean you should start a promotion. You have to know if a pattern is actually strong and meaningful. And to figure that out, data scientists use 3 key measurements. So first up, we have something called support. And really, support is just a fancy word for popularity. It answers a simple question. How often does this group of items show up together in all the shopping carts? Is it something you see all the time, or is it a 1 in a million thing? Let's jump back to our little table. The combo bread and butter, where do we see it? It's in transaction 1, 4, and 5. So that's 3 times out of 5 total trips. You do the math. 3 divided by 5 is 0.6, or 60%. That's the support. And 60%? That's pretty common. It tells us this is a combination worth paying attention to. All right, so we've established that bread and butter are a popular pair. But now for the next question. When someone does buy bread, how sure can we be that they'll also grab some butter? This is where our second metric, confidence, comes into play. Let's look at that table one more time. Find all the times someone bought bread. That's transactions 1, 2, 4, and 5. So 4 times in total. Now, out of only those 4 times, how many also had butter? Well, transactions 1, 4, and 5 did. That's 3. So our confidence is 3 out of 4, which is 75%. Now that's a pretty strong bet. But wait, there's one last piece to this puzzle. We have to ask, is this bread and butter thing really a special relationship? Or is it just happening because, well, bread is popular and butter is popular, so of course they show up together sometimes? That's what our third metric, lift, is all about. It helps us figure out if there's a real connection or if it's just a coincidence. Here's how to think about lift. If you get a lift of exactly 1, it means buying bread makes absolutely 0 difference in whether someone buys butter. It's just random. But a lift of 2.0? Whoa, that means putting bread in your cart makes you twice as likely to also buy butter. Anything over 1 tells you there's a real relationship there. That's the gold everyone's looking for. So, okay, we've got our measurements for what makes a good rule. But how in the world does a computer actually wade through millions and millions of transactions to find these little gems? Well, it uses a really clever algorithm, a famous one called Apriori. You can think of the a priori algorithm as the engine that makes all this market basket analysis stuff work. It's a classic for a reason. It's just a super efficient way to find the most popular combinations of items. And the way it works is honestly pretty brilliant because it's based on common sense. Think about it. If the combination of bread, butter, and milk is popular, it stands to reason that the smaller combo of just bread and butter must also be popular, right? So the algorithm uses this logic to be smart. It starts small, it finds all the individual items that are popular. Then it only uses those popular items to build pairs. It immediately throws out any pairs that aren't popular enough. Then it takes the popular pairs to build groups of 3 and on and on. It's a genius way to avoid wasting time checking every single possible combination under the sun. All right, so this isn't just some abstract thing that data scientists geek out about in a lab. These rules, this algorithm, they have a real, tangible effect on how you shop, probably every single day. I mean, have you ever noticed how the chips are always right next to the salsa? Or when you're on Amazon and it shows you that frequently bought together section? Yep, that's market basket analysis in action. It's the exact same logic that powers Netflix telling you what to binge watch next, or that coupon that magically prints out for a product related to what you just bought. And this brings us full circle, back to the Pop-Tarts. The most important thing to remember here is that one thing doesn't cause the other. Buying Pop-Tarts doesn't summon a hurricane. It's just a pattern, a correlation. It turns out that when people are getting ready for a big storm, they stock up on easy, non-perishable comfort food. The data didn't create that behavior. It just shined a spotlight on it. So now you're in on the secret. And I bet the next time you go shopping, you're going to see these data-driven decisions everywhere. That sale on hot dog buns, conveniently placed right next to the hot dogs, totally not a coincidence. That's an algorithm doing its thing. Your next trip to the store just turned into a real-life game of spot the pattern. So what connections are you going to find?